I do see clear differences among the biologics. And I want to be important to point out that, safety comparisons don't, imply similar FDA indications or efficacy. But, the big thing with dupilumab and the safety is the red eyes. And, based on the number of people that have the red eyes, and that's with your eczema and your polyp patients, they tend to respond to treatment for dry eyes. And the patients are concerned about the side effects. And when I'm doing shared decision making, I go over the side effect profile in detail. I had one patient that I thought was an ideal candidate for dupilumab who also had concomitant conjunctivitis and red eyes. And when I told him about the red eyes, he said, "I'm not interested. My eyes are already red." But I says, "Yeah, but your eyes are red now because of inflammation. And if we, reduce that inflammation," and in fact, after a couple of years, we did, he had eczema and polyps and asthma. We did convince him to go on it. And in fact, his red eyes have improved on that. But the side effects play a big difference in shared decision making. From the beginning, dupilumab you could use at home. All the other biologics in the beginning you had to use in the doctor's office. I know several of them have been approved for home use now, but one of them is still approved. In terms of efficacy, I think you're looking at the patient profile. There may be some patient profiles that one drug may be more effective than another. Certainly, I look at eosinophil levels when I'm coaching my patient about the decision that they make on that, and it's a shared decision. So that I don't come in and say we're choosing this biologic. I come in and say, all right, according to your blood work, you're eligible for drug A and B. Here are the advantages of A. Here are the disadvantages of A. Here's the advantages of B. Here's the disadvantages of B. But no, the efficacy is different. Certainly, I've had patients that failed other biologics that improved when they began using dupilumab. Quite honestly, I can't think of a single patient that I've switched from dupilumab to another biologic, but I can certainly think there may be a time when that comes in the future. Health literacy definitely is an issue, and that's why I do it over a period of time. Once I make the decision in my mind that a patient needs to go on a biologic, we have a process. And so I begin at that visit to discuss with them what the biologics are, um, why they're different than the medicines that they're taking, and not in detail, but kind of briefly what maybe the pros are. I don't, in the first visit, go over the cons. And then I give them some representative literature. So, I may give them literature from an anti-IgE drug. I may give them literature from one of the anti-IL-5 drugs. And often, depending on the comorbid conditions, I give them literature on dupilumab. So they get the literature on all three, and then we send them to the lab, preferably when they haven't been on an oral steroid recently. And then we get the blood work back. And then I would say that you are eligible for these drugs. I want you to focus on reading the literature for these drugs before you come back, something that the pharmaceutical company provides for me that I give to them. And then we're coming back typically, I don't know, 3 to 5 weeks. We get them back for a follow-up visit, and it's usually a long follow-up visit. That's when we have the big discussion. So, what do you understand about the medicines? What was your thoughts from reading the brochures I given you that you might prefer one drug over the other? And then they tell me, I says, well, why? What aspect of that drug? Well, somebody might say that, drug X, I've got to come into your office to get it. And well, in fact, I had this conversation this week, a patient with Medicaid, a working mom, and we actually were even including immunotherapy. And she just isn't able to come in with her child to my office in the beginning, and she was really looking for something that home administration would be something that she could do. And so that's kind of how our shared decision making conversation had. And you mentioned limited health literacy. This was somebody with limited health literacy, and we didn't come to a conclusion until after we'd had a visit, a phone call, and then another visit. But that's the way, even with people with good health literacy, they'll come in and say, I saw a commercial on TV and Dupixent's the drug for me. And so I'll just look at them and say, all right, well, that is certainly possible. Dupixent may be the right drug for you, but let's ask some questions. Let's get your blood work drawn. Let's see which ones that you're eligible for. And so I kind of let them take a little time out there because they're all gun-ho and excited, and this is the only drug for me. And oftentimes the drug they ask for is the drug they get, but sometimes it's not. And so even people that I think have very good health literacy, I like this to be a process over several weeks in making the decision, because this is our medicines we're going to use over a long period of time, and some of these medicines can have adverse events. And so if something like that comes, I really want the patient to have discussed it before we have the conversation. Well, you've had this side effect from this drug. For instance, with Dupixent or dupilumab, if they get red eyes, nobody's surprised because we've talked about it beforehand.